Do your research whilst you're on the call. Don't worry about pre-call prep. I'm about to get controversial. Hi guys, my name's Deepak Shukla, founder at Pearl Lemon Sales. We're a sales training and development agency based in the UK as well as the USA and serving clients worldwide. And here today in day number 31 of 119 days of cold calling training, we're here to talk about the research on call approach. But before we get into it, feel free to click the link below to get the additional 17 strategies not covered in this training. So the research on call approach is a big one. Okay. In the sales community, pre-call prep is something that fundamentally a lot of people will develop whole sections about pre-call prep. Okay. Pre-call prep. Now, pre-call prep, the big caveat with this, and we will go into pre-call prep when placing cold calls, but I'll also talk about prep when you're on calls. Pre-call prep, I think for the most part, 90% of cases is bogus. Okay, you do not need to do pre-call prep. Okay, and that's a pretty wild statement, I know, and I'm going to demonstrate to you exactly why it's bogus. The best time to do research is whilst you're on the call, okay? The best time to do it is whilst you're on the call, because the most salient points that you need to discuss to make you seem like an expert, and what is an expert's very relative, we'll go on to discuss that as well, can all be done within 15 to 90 seconds, okay? Yep, it can all be done within this time, okay? The research on call approach. And in the advanced training, I'll go on to teach you how to actually do this effectively, but I will give you some of the insights into it today, okay? So fundamentally, look, when you're calling anybody, there's a couple of things that you need to know, of course. Their name, which is obvious, right? You know their name. You need to know the job that they do, of course. You need to know a little bit about their company, okay? You need to know a little bit about their role, and then you could find out some other additional information. So we've got their name, their job, their company, what their role entails, and then you could also know a little bit about their background, right? And you could, within company, there's subsets, aren't there? You could find out, what's their company up to at the moment, values, history, news, philosophy. But all of a sudden, and of course, then there's the industry, right? But then all of a sudden, between all of this, the question that we've got is, how much of it do you need to know in depth versus how much perception you need to give to your client? And also, the argument is, what is knowing? And it gets a little bit perhaps meta or philosophical at that stage. But fundamentally, a lot of this information, if you're cold calling me as an example, and let me zoom out. If you're cold calling me, then you can get so much of that just off LinkedIn, okay? And I'm going to show you an example. Let's imagine that we're calling finance directors, okay? And we're going to give you a live example. So let's just say, no, we get through, it could be anybody. Let's just say we get through to Richard Paul, okay? So, hi there, sorry, is this Richard? Richard Paul? Richard, how you doing? It's Deepak here. Good morning, good to speak to you. I see that you went to Michigan as well. We do some good business there, to be honest with you. Richard, I was calling this morning because I wanted to talk to you about, of course, what you're doing with local leads up in Portland. And I, working within, for example, the insurance industry, was just, I came across you. I've been looking at, the vast experience you've had in the industry. I think close to 10 or 11 years right now. Noticed that you had some contact information available to you, and given that you were up at Michigan doing your psychology degree, that you have closed $18,000 in 30 days. I think that was one of your case studies actually. I'd love to talk to you about how we could potentially work together on a little bit of a joint venture. We've got some, growing clients in the insurance niche, and I think that there's probably some level of product offering that we could bring to them together with both your clients and mine. What do you say, Richard? I know that you're a big fan of referrals. Referrals always win. So yeah, I'd love to talk to you if that sounds good. So guys, do you see how accomplished I sounded in terms of being able to talk to Richard in a manner that made sense to him, with the really, what doesn't demonstrate amazing research about what I've done is what I'm trying to, I guess, underline. And within the context of a cold call, where you're calling a decision maker, and you could go on and of course have a 10 to 15 minute chat with Richard, because we don't have Richard here to respond, but you can have that research was done on the call, as you can see, on the call in the space of 30 seconds, right? Because I've got Richard's LinkedIn profile in front of me. I'm talking through different elements of it, and I'm just picking out the things that I feel that I could build a conversation point around. Now, you do need to have an ability to use improv. You do need to have an understanding, of course, of the area at large. So it's not to say that there can't be any research, but it is to say that there's much less research required than you would imagine. And I see a lot of people that get unstuck with research pre-call, and they'll spend a minute per prospect, 3 to 5 minutes per prospect, and that will drive their call volume right down, okay, and correspondingly all of the results right down. Whereas, to be honest with you, if you get used to the pressure, and this is where the whole thing about brute force, about live cold calls, about upping the pressure ante, if you can just get used to basically being composed under pressure, you could literally, once you've got the prospect in front of you, especially if you're working off a good contact database, you might have their LinkedIn profile to hand anyway, depending upon if you're using a power dialer or whatever it is that you're using that dynamically displays data. You should have the ability to whack open, for example, their LinkedIn profile and then start shooting fish in a barrel effectively when it comes to identifying all of the elements or strands you can pick out from their profile that will equate to a really powerful, informed conversation. So there you have it, guys. That is the route to how to do the research on call as opposed to pre-call. Don't ever do any pre-call research again.
Remember, we've got 17 gated strategies just waiting for you. All you need to do is bing, subscribe, as well as click the link in the description below to get access to those 17. Get some.